Hey, I know what'll cheer you up.
Welcome to the Bright Ideas Podcast, where we let proven experts help you to find the next bright idea to implement in your business today. And now, here's your host, Trent Deersmith.
This is unbelievable.
Its true force has never been fully understood.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Bright Ideas Podcast. I am your host, Trent Deersmith, and this is the podcast for business owners and entrepreneurs who want to discover what works in e-commerce today, as well as hear stories from entrepreneurs who are already killing it online. So regardless of whether you're just starting out or your business is already up and running, in each and every episode, you will discover golden nuggets that you can implement in your business today. And speaking of golden nuggets, if you're new to the Bright Ideas tribe, be sure and check out my daily video series, appropriately named The Daily Nugget. In it, you can find me answering questions from you, the viewers, as well as giving you a look over my shoulder as I grow my e-commerce business from roughly $2.5 million a year, where we are now, to our goal of $10 million. All right, so in today's episode, I interview a fellow by the name of Dave Woodward from a company which you probably have heard of called Clickfunnels. And if you haven't heard of Clickfunnels, they are the fastest growing privately owned software company on planet Earth. And they've managed to accomplish this goal without any venture capital funding. They have, at last count, 55,000 or so customers. The largest niche, or I guess industry, whatever word you would like to use, are e-commerce sellers. And so I asked Dave to come onto the show and talk to me about some of the best practices that their most successful users are doing or putting into action to be able to get the most growth and get the most out of the Clickfunnels platform to obviously accelerate their success. So it was a very interesting interview. I super enjoyed it, and I hope you do as well. So please join me in welcoming Dave to the show. Hello, Dave. Welcome to the show.
Hey, super excited to be here, Trent.
Yes. Thank you for being on. And despite all the technical gremlins before we hit the record button, hopefully we're good to go for a good episode.
Sounds good.
So for the folks in my audience who don't yet know,
I will do my best to over-deliver for you.
No problem. But for the folks who don't yet know who you are or what you do, if you could, let's start there.
Sure. So my name is Dave Woodward. I run all the business development for ClickFunnels, and we've had the opportunity of working with, over 55,000 customers now to help them get their online businesses up and running through sales funnels and lead gen, and helping them basically enjoy the online life and getting a ton of business up and running as fast as they can.
Yes, a small success story, to say the least. So in an unusual stroke, this is the first interview where my guest has actually been in the same town as me, yet oddly, here we are still over the phone.
Yes, indeed.
So if you haven't heard of ClickFunnels, folks, it is the, I believe, fastest growing privately owned software company on planet Earth, is it not?
It is indeed, without any VC backing.
Yeah, hell of a deal. Congratulations. So there's some good stuff to be uncovered and some good lessons here, and my hope is that Dave and I will be able to deliver on that. So Dave, your software is used in all sorts of verticals. E-commerce is one of them, and if I remember correctly, did you tell me that e-commerce was the fastest growing of all the verts?
Yeah, Trent, right now it definitely is. We started off in the author, speakers, coaches niche, and we've definitely had a lot of clients there, but the fastest growing and probably the largest from a revenue standpoint is definitely the e-commerce space.
And why do you think that is? I have my ideas, but I'm curious.
I think a lot of people these days, we saw, at least for us, we're finding a lot of people coming from Shopify, from Amazon, from eBay, where they were trying to get a store started, and that's kind of where they started, what they started with. And so instead of trying to create their own product and everything else, they'll particularly find something else that's out there and just basically go with that.
Yep. So, this question just came to me, by the way, and it wasn't in the pre-interview, but I think it's very, very relevant. I heard a rumor, for lack of a better term, because I couldn't put my finger on a link to the article, that the cost of the CPM, the price of a CPM on Facebook in 2017 went up around 300%.
That's correct? Yeah, we're seeing the same thing for most of our advertisers.
Okay. So one of the reasons my guess is that you guys are growing so quickly, and that e-commerce in particular is growing so quickly, is because if you're going to run a store online and you're going to do it profitably, you need to be able to figure out how to deal with increasing cost of customer acquisition. Yes?
Oh, totally agree. It's one of the main things we look at all the time.
All the time. And that's one of the reasons why I've recently signed for my own e-commerce company, why I'm going to be using Clickfunnels, because there is some pretty crafty things that you can do. But we'll get into that later. Before we do that, let's talk about, you've got a lot of customers, 55,000. Obviously, there's a number. I think you guys have a 2 comma club, and there's a number of people every single week that are getting into that club. Is that right?
Yeah, we started this last year at our Funnel Hacking Live event. And last year, we basically recognized 86 people who had made over $1 million in a funnel. Mm-hmm. And right now, I just checked, we just crossed through 221. Mm-hmm. And so we're seeing, I just literally checked, we have 11 plaques that came in today. We're seeing typically at least one a day that are hitting through that stride right now. So it's been pretty crazy. In fact, don't tell anyone yet, we are in the process of creating our 8-figure club for those who've now done over 10 million. And we now have people who are crushing through that level as well.
Well, you better get my plaque ready because I'm coming for it.
You just tell me the name you want on it and we'll get it printed.
So let's talk about some of the best practices from customers that are having high levels of success. Name one. And let's
Sure.
talk about it.
So I can take a little step back on that. One of the main things we take a look at, whether it's e-commerce or any funnel, and that is the 2 metrics that we always pay attention to is going to be what's your cost to acquire a customer and what's your average cart value. Mm-hmm. And so when we're taking a look at those 2 metrics, we actually look at your first funnel as being what we refer to as a break-even funnel. In the game of e-commerce, the most important thing we really focus on is understanding that whoever can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. Mm-hmm. And we really, I take a look at some of our most successful people using our platform, they understand the psychology behind that. And they're not afraid to build a funnel to where they can actually acquire a customer at a much higher cost and even break even on the front end. Mm-hmm. And then where they're going to basically make all their money is on the back end. Mm-hmm. It's not uncommon. So take, for example, right now, we have, for Clickfunnels ourselves, we work the exact same way. We have 6 different front-end products that we use to sell Clickfunnels. I get approached all the time from VCs and private equity guys to basically want to throw money at Clickfunnels. They can't understand how we can be acquiring customers as fast as we are without having VC money behind us. Mm-hmm. And the whole reason behind it is we do the exact same thing that any of your clients are going to be, or people listening to this podcast are doing. And that is, so we have, take for example, one of our front end funnels is a book funnel. We have 2 different book funnels, .com Secrets book and the Expert Secrets book. These are free plus shipping books offers. Mm-hmm. And with that, it's typically a $7.95 to $19.95 price point on the front end. Where we find, so take for example, we did, when we first rolled out Clickfunnels, we used .com Secrets book. And in doing that, we had as far as revenue through it at $7.95, we had about 25,000 customers purchase the book, and it basically brought in right around $250,000 up front on just that piece. Mm-hmm. Where the main thing we see from e-commerce, those people who really get this, is understanding how to use upsells and downsales. In most funnels, in fact, Trent, you might remember the old days with GoDaddy, where if you go buy a domain on GoDaddy, it literally felt like it took you 30 minutes to get out of their funnel. Do you want this? And do you want that? And do you want this? And do you want that? I don't know if you remember those days.
I do, yes.
So what we see is there's only so many upsells that you can put a person through before they literally get to the point where they almost despise buying the product from you, which is the last thing we're ever trying to do with our customers. So for us, what we've realized is the most you can do is really 2 to 3, and 2 is really the sweet spot. Mm-hmm. So what we decided to do, and what we've seen a lot of our really successful clients using, and that is what we refer to as an order form bump. So on an order form bump, you've sold your first product, but before they go to the checkout, on the checkout page itself is a small little paragraph saying, hey, a lot of our clients really like this. If you take a look at Amazon, they do the exact same thing at the bottom. Mm-hmm. And that is, people who bought this also bought this. And it's a real quick for them, it's a one-time upsell. We refer to it as an order form bump, where you're able to put in an OTO earlier in the funnel and give people that opportunity. So for us on the book, we went from basically a $9.50 average cart value up to $18.32. Or those 20,000 customers raised, 25,000 customers actually were spending on average for us almost $20. So we have $500,000 that came through for that. The reason that's important when you're taking a look at working with your customers is now I've doubled my average cart value, or I can spend twice as much to acquire the customer. Does that make sense?
It makes a whole lot of sense. I've been immersed. I'm in the process of launching a new brand to complement our existing e-commerce business. And so for the last probably month, I have been absolutely immersed in all of the things that we're talking about. As a matter of fact, I've recently hired Trey. I'm going down to his workshop in St. Louis in a couple of weeks. So I've been consuming the good word of the big kahuna.
Okay, well, let's talk about Trey, if you're going to bring his name up. So Trey is a dear friend of mine. Love the guy to death. Has the largest, as far as the affiliate world, there was never a product that sold more than Trey's flashlights. Literally $20+ million in less than 30 days. It was crazy. And crazy. One of the crazy things behind this whole and again, it's been knocked off so many times right now. I mean, you literally go to Affiliate Summit West, basically had 6 different people all having the exact same flashlight that you could import from China, and they're just basically trying to sell it to you. So the great thing that Trey is extremely good at doing, and that is understanding what's the next logical thing a customer wants. And that's the biggest mistake we see a lot of our e-commerce people playing around with. And that is where they'll sell something on the front end and they think, well, gosh, I'll offer something similar to that on the order form bump or on the OTO. OTO stands for one-time upsell or one-time offer. So what you have to do is it's got to be what's the next logical thing they want, not more of the same, unless you're in a supplement funnel. If you're in the supplement business, the best upsells is 3 of the exact same thing they just bought. So they just bought a product to help them burn fat, and it's a 30-day supply. The best upsell for that is 3 more bottles of the exact same thing at a discounted price.
Got it.
So, but for the order form bump, you typically want the next thing as far as what's the next logical thing they would want. So, for example, in Trey's situation, he ended up where he had before he was selling flashlights, what he actually was doing was he was selling his whole business was based originally around gun owners and making a membership in that side. So you've seen those adhesive targets you basically peel off and stick on someplace. So that's what he was basically offering them in a free plus shipping model. And then the very next thing, as he was talking with his customers, which I, again, can't stress enough the importance of that as anyone who's listening to this, is you got to find out from your customers. And so he'd literally get on the phone with them as they were calling in. He'd email them, what's the next, what else do you guys like? And for them, the next thing they really liked, so these are gun owners. They're out there practicing. The next thing they needed was a way to clean their gun. And so he saw that the next real need for them was gun cleaning kits. Well, he didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money cleaning ordering all these gun cleaning kits, not knowing whether or not they're going to sell. And so for Trey, what he ended up doing literally was he just put up an offer, went to Walmart, bought the cheapest gun cleaning kit he could find to see if it would work, put up and said, hey, do you guys want this basically as the next thing? And he got flooded with it. And so he literally, at that point, went to every Walmart within about a 10-mile radius of his house or 20 miles, buying all these gun cleaning kits. And it literally was just arbitrage. He'd be buying them for $10, selling for $20, and he's making the spread. And he's selling the exact same product that's in Walmart, but because he's provided it a service, he's able to get that for him. So that's the concept behind the order form bump or the OTO.
All right. So when you do the bump, and maybe you won't have data on this on the top of your head, but let's forget about the OTO and the downsell for a minute. What's going to happen to ACV on average if you just add a bump?
What we find for most people is your average cart value typically will have anywhere from a 60 to 100% increase.
And no kidding. So, because I've got a spreadsheet where I've modeled all of this for the business that I'm launching. And so let's talk about some price points. So let's say you've got a free plus shipping offer. So cart value of that is going to be $7.95, right?
Yep.
So let's say do you have any statistics off the top of your head on the retail price point of a bump on average relative to a free plus shipping offer? Is it a $20 bump? Is it a $60 bump?
Honestly, that depends on the marketplace.
Yeah.
So take, for example, for us, it's a book. So for us, when we're selling, the next logical thing for us was a $37 information product.
And is that the bump or the OTO?
That's the order form bump.
Okay, $37.
So we went from 7 to 30. So basically, they have a $7, and it's a 4 to 5x is kind of where you're at for us on that kind of thing.
And what's the conversion rate on that?
The conversion on that is typically, we see that anywhere between about 15 to 22%.
Okay, so 7.95 to call it $38 at 15% conversion. All right. I'm asking because I'm sure the audience is curious, and for the model here that I've built, I want to see how far my numbers or my assumptions are close or not.
So how's my math doing there? If we got 15% of the people taking a $37, what's that? What is that?
It would take me too long. I'd have to zero too many numbers. I've got a spreadsheet that basically models a front end downsell, a front end bump, an OTO, and then two different continuities. So I've got way too many numbers in there that I'd have to put zeros in to give you an answer to that question.
Not a problem. So basically what you're looking at, you got 5 times the cost or the revenue here. Yeah. And for us, on an information product, there's no physical cost to it. Yeah. And so it's all profit. So I've got 5 times that, and basically 15% of the people are taking it. So you're going to find basically that, 5 times 15 is going to put me close to that 75% type of.
Yeah, it's $38 times 15%. So if you've got $8 to begin with, and 15% of 38 is about $6. So 8 and 6 is 14. That would take your ACV up just to $14.
But again, so you're going to find that on our books, I'm speaking just generally. Yeah. On our books, I can tell you when we actually ran the numbers, we almost doubled over.
Okay.
So we went from 9 to 18.
Okay.
But again, I'm just speaking broad strokes. What you're going to find for most, the hard part for me is anytime I'm telling numbers and I go too high, people are going to go, "Oh, that doesn't work for me."
Yeah.
Realize at the same time, if you can get an OTO performance for you in that range, again, obviously the higher the conversion, the better. Realize you don't have a whole bunch of space though. It's really hard. It's got to be a very logical sale as far as that goes. So again, if you can get to a 33% increase, that's really a sweet deal for you.
Now, in terms of picking your front ends, are there rules of thumb to adhere to? For example, should a front end offer have a perceived value of the $20 neighborhood, or should it have a perceived value of $40 neighborhood? And again, we'll stick to physical goods in e-commerce because that's my space.
Yeah. So with physical goods in e-commerce, a lot of that's going to depend on what it is that you're actually selling. Yeah. So take, for example, if the perceived, it's not as, again, basic offer strategy here. It's more important as far as how great the offer is.
Yeah.
Well, I can have the best offer will always trump any funnel I ever use. I mean, it's just what it comes down to. So I would look as far as, give me an example of a product that you'd have in a physical product that you'd be selling.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, let's just use Trey's flashlight because obviously he had a whole lot of success with that.
So with Trey's flashlight, he's basically going out to people he already knows. He knows their demographic. These are people who, for the most part, his buyers are conservative people, Republican by nature, gun collectors. For the most part, that's kind of the demographic that he's going after. And so for him, the very next thing is he's basically selling this. It's not just a flashlight. I mean, this flashlight it's a huge flashlight with massive, massive lumens, and I mean it's super bright, super lightweight. Is great for your prepper type of community. It can be used as a weapon if you need to, and so it's got a whole bunch of bells and whistles associated with it, more than just a typical flashlight.
Yep.
And so for Trey, I forget what his order form bump was on that. I know he actually ended up later on basically saying one of his OTOs ended up being, "Do you want to buy one for a friend, or do you want one for your car?" Which worked out super well for him.
Yep.
I don't recall his actual order form bump on that.
Okay.
But The back end for him, though, really wasn't as much another product as it was a membership site, which he was trying to get them into on a continuity standpoint to be a part of his whole membership club.
Yep.
And so for him, that's what he was looking at.
And do you know the benefits of like why someone would be a member? I think it gets a big discount on the products in the future. Or?
Yeah, it's a buyer's club is what it really was. I mean,
Okay.
You're getting discounts on not just the flash, you're getting discounts on guns, on ammo, on all sorts of different things. And so, again, it comes back to your offer. If you really understand who your buyer is, you understand all the other things they're going to need next in that sequentially in that line as far as offers goes. And for him, what he realized was the most important thing for my people is they're very conservative. They want to make sure they feel like they're exclusive. They're part of a club. They're part of a group. And the benefit for that is they're getting discount on prices for stuff they're using already.
Yep. Okay. So for the people who are in your 2 Comma Club, how many times do you think their first funnel, and we'll define success as a cost of customer acquisition, or COCA as it's called, a COCA of 0 or less. How many of them do you think achieved success on their first attempt?
None.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I can tell you none of them did it.
on average, how many funnels do you think it took people in the 2 Comma Club before they reached a COCA of 0? In other words, they were able to acquire a customer without losing money.
I would say probably 3 to 7.
3 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
And how much on average do you think they were spending in ad spend to test each one of these funnels before they concluded?
I can tell you, typically, most of those, we've always been on if you're not willing to spend $1,000 to test your funnel, you're just not, you can't get enough data. You just can't get the data at less than $1,000. I mean, your Facebook ads and everything else, you got to be able to get enough data to really substantiate to say, it's worth it here.
Yeah. And that's one of the big, I hope the audience is already having the light bulb on or come on around this topic, because the big takeaway here is, in the beginning, if you're thinking that you're building your funnel to try and sell products and make a profit, I think you're thinking about it wrong. I think that you're building a funnel to buy data.
Oh my gosh. Trent, I want you to restate that, because to me, that is the most important thing I can ever tell anybody, is the only purpose for your first funnel is to buy data. That is it. That's all you're doing. So I love that you mentioned that. And I hope your audience really pays attention to that, because that data is worth so much more than you're actually spending. You have no idea.
Yeah, there's actually things that Trey teaches, and I out of respect for not maybe giving away stuff that he charges money for, there are also some pretty cool things that he's teaching us to do with Facebook to acquire data on products before we even build the first funnel. And I just can't emphasize enough of how important it is to have the mindset that, even if you have to spend $5,000 on your first 5 funnels to buy data, that is so much less expensive than going on your gut and making a $10,000 order for product and then realizing you can't sell it.
Oh my gosh. I can tell you that you will never, there's nothing more frustrating than having a warehouse of stuff you think the market wants that you can't sell.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Nothing better than, and gosh, we get this question all the time as far as, what do you think my funnel, will this funnel work? Will that funnel work? Or should I do this? I'm like, you know what? I can give you my opinion all day long. The market is the best place to get that opinion from, and the best way to get them to vote is with their credit card. If they're not willing to vote with their credit card, you don't have it. You don't have a business.
Yeah, surveys don't do it. So in the 2 Comma Club, do you know what percentage of those people are e-commerce, physical goods?
I don't know what percentage it is. I can tell you that our highest funnels are e-commerce funnels.
Okay.
So as far as how many of the 214, how many of them are e-commerce, I don't know.
Okay. In the e-commerce portion, what types of front-end offers are you seeing most commonly? Is it always free plus shipping, or is there...
Oh, no. We're seeing, I'm seeing free plus shipping is one of the things that we've just done a ton of ourselves. I'm seeing, Jason Flavian has done a ton of different e-commerce things, and his aren't free plus shipping. Ezra Firestone also does a lot of funnels, and he's not real big on e-commerce shipping, free plus shipping.
So what do they do?
I've seen coupon codes. I've seen discount offers. I've seen the buy one, get one free type of offers. There's a ton of different ways that you can structure besides just free plus shipping.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, so by the time somebody incorporates a bump, an upsell, and a downsell, which is pretty much, I think, what you guys recommend as a rule of thumb best practice.
That or else just 2 upsells.
Okay.
Order form bump and 2 upsells with usually 1 downsell is kind of what we see.
What effect on ACV does that have on average?
Gosh, honestly, I can tell you for us, as I take a look at most of ours, we will go from like a 10, let's just call our free plus shipping offer. If it's $8, we've just recently rebuilt our .com secrets and our expert secrets funnels. And right now we have an order form bump. We have 2 upsells, and our average cart value on that right now is ranging between $45 and $48.
Okay. So that's about 500%, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which makes it a lot easier to pay for traffic.
Oh my gosh. I cannot express enough the importance. Oh my gosh, it is the only thing. I see people making this mistake all the time where they've got this great thing they want to sell, but they can't spend enough traffic to sell it. And if you can't spend enough traffic, you can't spend enough money to sell it, it's because you don't have enough in your funnel that people want to be able to justify the cost.
Gosh, that question I had just slipped my mind. Shoot, this so rarely happens to me in an interview. So
while you're doing that, while you're thinking about it, I'll fill in some other time here for you.
Sure.
So understand as you're taking a look at the whole reason why you're really going about this idea of average cart value and cost to acquire a customer is because that cost to acquire a customer, there's so many other things that you can do long-term with them on their follow-up sequences and your follow-up funnels and all that other kind of stuff. For us, what we're seeing is it's almost, as we looked at the order form bump and the 2 OTOs and the downsell, we had a buddy in there, Dana Derricks, the other day, who basically said, it's kind of like playing basketball with 1 person versus a person playing with 5. In other words, your order form bump, your 2 OTOs and your downsell, it typically will give you a 5x multiple by doing that.
And I remembered my question. Thank you for
filling
it in. So Facebook, we said, I think at the beginning of the interview that CPMs have tripled in 2017 because Facebook is essentially running out of places to put all their ads. So for your business, do you focus purely on Facebook, or are you everywhere you can buy traffic? Are you advertising all over the place?
Man, that is a great question, Trent. So the answer is we've done a ton on Facebook. Facebook is a real easy place to test. It's a place there's enough, the demographics and all the reporting stuff is great. We actually have gone from Facebook. We use a lot of other social platforms. Depending on the product, we're seeing a lot on Instagram and Pinterest are 2 of the other things that are a lot of opportunity there. We spend a lot of our time and energy these days actually on trying to get free traffic. It takes a little bit longer. Just had a couple of people in here this weekend actually helping us, teach us a little bit on that aspect as far as the SEO component to that. But I've always been a huge believer. You don't have a business unless you can pay for traffic.
Yeah. So nothing on YouTube. What
about? Oh no, we do a ton on YouTube.
Yeah, I thought
a ton on YouTube. I forgot to say that one. Yeah,
seen you there.
YouTube. We actually so for us basically our first place is Facebook, second place is YouTube, third place is Instagram. Those are the 3 that we spend most of our time on.
And in your e-commerce, amongst your e-commerce sellers, they're probably using all those channels as well. Have any of them talked about other channels that they're having success with? I know Trey talks about, radio. I know he talks about offline stuff.
Oh yeah, no, there's honestly, if you get good at understanding how the physical marketplace works to sell a physical product, one of the best places is to sell that offline. And whether that's through radio, through direct mail. I mean, I cut my teeth in the direct response marketing days. So I'm a huge direct response marketer. The quality may not be as good. You may have to spend a whole bunch as far as getting things out. The buyers, though, are getting something physical already in the mail. And they're much more inclined to actually take action on a physical thing to go buy another physical thing.
Okay. So in terms of direct mail, is there any particular vendors or websites or places that people would be able to either hire a company to work with or get more info?
Man, I wish I had a good resource for you on that. I don't. Most of our direct mail is primarily sent out more from a JV Dream 100 type of perspective, versus we just don't send out that much direct mail for ourselves. We just don't sell that much physical products like you do.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys are well known for the phrase funnel hacking. So let's
I actually have my Funnel Hacker TV t-shirt on. There you go.
Where's mine? You didn't send me one. I could have been wearing it right now.
You know what? Give me your address after the show and I'll send you a shirt.
Okay. I did not intend to guilt you into sending me a free t-shirt.
You know, we send out so many shirts. It's not a guilt issue at all. We find, actually, I'll toss this in here real quick. I can tell you from a customer acquisition stick rate, even on a physical product, one of the best things are t-shirts.
Yep.
If you start building a community like Trey does, and you're trying to create membership sites, realize the typical membership site is your typical churn is 3.5, 4 months. You'll get an extra month or two just by sending out a t-shirt. The law of reciprocity kicks in huge, and people just feel obligated.
We will have hats. We will have t-shirts. We're going to have our own podcast. I've never mentioned the brand name anywhere yet, and I'm not, but I am going to share. For people who've been following me know I am going to share it. The reason I haven't mentioned it yet is I'm in the middle of testing data, buying data, and I want to make sure that my assumptions weren't wrong and that this is in fact the thing I'm going to do for the next 10 to 15 years. I've never been more excited about a niche than this one, and for reasons that I'll share another time. But yes, t-shirts definitely will be a big part of it. So now let's talk a bit about funnel hacking, because if you have no competition, then there is no demand, and we just live in a world where if there's no competition, that's a huge red warning sign, red flag. So there's going to be competitors. What are some of the things that you guys have seen your customers do or do yourselves to find out what those competitors are doing to try and get a leg up?
Oh, great question. So this basically goes back to the whole concept as far as funnel hacking. And again, the whole idea you're going to find for most of us these days is, as you made mention, Trent, if you don't have a competitor, you don't have a business, and I would definitely not be in that business. So for us, I'm a huge believer in you go out and you go through their funnel, their sales funnel, whatever it might be, and find those competitors, whatever niche it might be in. So again, for the e-commerce place, one of the best places to look is going to be Amazon. Any product that there's going to be, your competitors most likely are selling on Amazon or on Shopify or whatever it is. And so Google's your best place to start. Again, if you're looking at Trey as far as flashlights, you're going to basically Google that type of a flashlight. Where do you find a tactical flashlight? And Amazon's going to give you, here's 10 different providers of tactical flashlights. And the key there is, ideally, it will be to, once you find it, see if you can actually get it off of Amazon in their actual funnel, and see if they're actually selling off of Amazon. And if they're selling off of Amazon, that means they've got a real business. They're not just relying on Amazon's traffic. So now you find a business, they're not selling just on Amazon, they're selling it off their own website. And at that point, you're literally going to go through their entire funnel. I recommend that you literally screen capture and just film the process while you're going through it. The key here is you want to buy every part of that funnel. And so you'll go through it multiple times. You'll buy the upsells, you'll buy the downsells, and see what happens as far as the actual process that they're taking people through. And the key here, which we stress all the time, is there's a huge difference between copying and funnel hacking. And copying is stealing. So let me just be blatantly open about this. And that is, we live in a digital marketplace where people don't have as much value on intellectual property as they should. And so understand, you do not want to steal someone else's funnel. That I'm a huge believer in business karma. It will come back to bite you. I promise you it will. If not now, it will later. And the idea behind this then is you want to funnel hack it. You want to go through, you want to see what are the colors schemes they're using. What's the structural layout? Do they have an upsell and downsell? Are they using video on the page? Are they using still images? How many testimonials are they using? Are there testimonials videos? Are there testimonials text? Are they using images? It's that type of thing that you're trying to get a look and feel from as you go through, basically go through their funnel. And then you'll have an idea as far as what type of upsell you need to have, what type of downsell you need to have, how many you should have. And by buying through their product, you're going to now receive their product, especially since you're a physical seller. Understand the actual delivery of the content is extremely important to you, because now you've got a physical product that they're receiving. How does it come? Does it come wrapped? Is the presentation different? What are the things you can do to enhance and improve what you're already getting from them? So these are all the things that we talk about when we refer to funnel hacking.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I need to reach over my computer and grab something here. Talk about presentation and how stuff arrives. Look familiar?
Looks really familiar.
Yeah. So obviously I'm a big proponent of paying attention to how people deliver stuff, because when the thing arrives, there's opportunities for, capturing someone in your community or making additional upsell, or just instilling goodwill.
So Trent, just to explain to people what those people who are listening, what actually you just went through. What did you actually receive there, so they understand what you showed me?
Yeah, so this was a while ago now, but I ordered the Expert Secrets book. I ordered all three books actually. I've got the cookbook behind me. I've got Expert Secrets and .com Secrets, and so this presumably was Expert Secrets, and the book came in this here plastic shipping bag with a big stop on the front to get my attention. Don't open this box until you've heard an important message. I'm sure Russell takes all those calls live. And then a postcard with a thank you and a URL to check out and a little bit more information. And, obviously, rather than, because I've ordered, like everybody, a ton of stuff online, the presentation, the packaging varies wildly. Gosh, some people put just no effort into it at all, which is kind of mind-boggling.
So, Trent, what you just made mention there, I can tell you for us was a huge opportunity to not only to sell again, but to have a huge upsell. So for us, in your case there, you spent, $7.95 or $19.95, whatever it might have been, to get either the book or the black box. When you get it, the stop basically has a phone number on there. That phone number is a recorded message. Mm-hmm. And as you made mention, the first recorded message is just goodwill. It's explaining what's actually going to be in the box. So now you're setting the expectation as they open up the box, what they're going to see. Now they open it up, and here's your opportunity to then just wow them. And I'm a huge believer, as you're actually out there, especially for you guys in the physical space, man, there's like no better opportunity than your delivery and your presentation to get that next sale. And for us, the postcard you saw there had a URL to a webinar. And on that webinar, we basically sold a $1,000 product.
Wow. Do you have any way of tracking what the conversion is from front end through to the 1,000? I mean, you must.
You know what? I wish we'd done a better job of tracking that piece of it, because unfortunately I didn't track. It's the same webinar, and so I didn't track where those leads came in, if they came in directly online because they're typing in the URL. I should have had, again,
a unique URL.
Yep. I should have a different unique URL, and we didn't.
Shame on you.
You know what? Yeah, I know.
So I want to add something going back onto the funnel hacking. One of the things that you didn't mention that I did, because you want to see what your competitors are doing for ads as well. So for a given niche, just go onto Facebook and like everything that has anything to do with that niche, so as to make yourself more likely to show up in the targeting of the advertisers that are going after that persona. In other words, become the buyer persona of the competitors that you're trying to hack, so that you can see what their ad copy looks like, and you can just save those posts on your Facebook mobile.
The cool thing about doing that also is you now get retargeted too.
Yeah.
And so pay attention not only to the first ads, pay attention to the retargeting ads, because those retargeting ads are a lot cheaper. We find them, almost 30, 45, 50%, even sometimes 60% cheaper than the actual other ads are.
For people who don't know what retargeting is, give us the super short explanation.
Well, these days, if you don't know what retargeting is, you're scared to death when all of a sudden you go online and you realize that people are following you everywhere. Meaning you basically clicked on, you know what, I'm interested in going and looking at this car. And all of a sudden that car shows up on every one of your Facebook feeds, wherever you're at. Or, you know what, I was looking at, in fact, it was really funny. We were, my wife and I were talking about this just the other day, where we went online and all of a sudden we could tell what our kids had been looking for, because now all of a sudden they're showing up as far as instead of being hints to mom and dad, this is what I want for Christmas, the internet's basically telling us everything that they're looking for.
So when it comes to retargeting, are there any particular services that you're using, or are you just using Facebook and the Pixel? And
Really, for the most part, Facebook and the Pixel is the primary one. I mean, there's a ton of other services out there, but for the majority of e-commerce people, Facebook's retargeting is by far one of the best.
Okay. And are you building pixel funnels as well?
We are actually.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Is there going to be any new features coming out in the software?
Oh my gosh, we have some of the coolest things happening here at Funnel Hacking Live in 2 months. I can't even. It's all going to be the stuff. So one of the things we didn't talk about, Trent. I don't know how much time we have here, but understand one of the most important things, as we've talked about earlier. You were talking about making sure your cost of acquisition is zero. It's now what are you going to do afterwards? And what we're finding for us on what we refer to as our follow-up funnels, we're typically getting a 17x multiple on those. In other words, whatever we made on that first funnel, we're getting 17 times that in the follow-up funnels afterwards. And I cannot express to you guys the importance of paying attention to your follow-up funnels. And too often people acquire this customer and they think, oh my gosh, now what am I going to do with it? Now I got to go find a new customer. It is so much easier to sell that one. Once you've got a customer, the hardest dollar to ever get online is the first dollar. And then from there on, all the other dollars are much easier to get from that customer because they know you, they like you, they believe in you, they trust you, they've seen your products. And so now as you follow up with them on a regular basis, the opportunities are literally just huge these days. And so go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that's why my soon-to-be named brand or name soon-to-be revealed brand is going to have a blog and a podcast because it's very much about creating a community.
I love that. Well, as soon as you reveal that, I'll reveal what we're doing at Funnel Hacking
Live. Another feature question, totally off topic. Do you have intention of creating a visual canvas for building campaigns within Actionetics?
Oh my gosh, we get asked that all the time. The answer is yes. When I don't have an answer for you on that. We're trying to, there's some new enhancements and improvements to the actual technology we want to do on the back end first. Yeah. And then people get asked, fortunately, there's a whole bunch of other services that do it.
I use one of them and will continue to do so until you have a visual campaign builder.
And you might as well tell your users who that is because we don't have one, so it's not a competitor of ours. So go ahead and tell them.
Infusionsoft. I've used it for years.
There you go.
It's just the visual nature of it makes it very, very easy to not only create what you want, but 3 months later, when you have to go back and change it or fix it, if it's not visual, it's so damn difficult to remember what you built the first time and every which way people can go through. Once I got hooked into using a visual campaign builder, I was just like, oh, I could never do this again with just like step down, and then remember that I got to go over to this list over here and then you need too many tabs open and it's a nightmare. Okay, so I think we've covered I'm just looking at my list of questions that we wanted to go through. So before we wrap up, is there any question that would make this, that I haven't asked, that would make this interview more complete in your opinion?
I think for one, you did an amazing job, and I think your pre-interview questions are awesome. I think the more of a summary type of note I would say is it all goes back to paying for data and not being afraid to pay for that data on the front end so that you don't make all the mistakes. I know it seems like it's a front-loaded cost, but it will save you thousands and thousands of dollars on the back end. And then just remember that whoever can spend the most to acquire that customer wins. And so with that, always be trying to we always look as far as how can we improve our average cart value? What can we do to enhance the average cart value? Mm-hmm. In other words, either improving the product lines or improving the deliverability or working on the funnel itself to increase the metrics as far as the conversions. We're always split testing within our own funnels, trying to see what we can do to make those kind of changes. But realize that if you'll focus on your cost to acquire a customer and your average cart value and not being afraid to spend the money to get the data, you will be successful in this business. You just will.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, when I sold my prior company and I got onto the internet so many years ago that I have been so fascinated by is just there's so much data that's available that allows you, if you pay attention to it, and not that I'm a data scientist by any stretch of the imagination, but if you pay attention to it, it makes especially if you use tools like yours that make it really easy to see the important data. It just makes making decisions so much easier. Our marketing joke, like I know half my advertising joke, I know half my budget's working, I just don't know which half it is. I mean, that's just so old school. It doesn't even apply anymore.
We've tried to eliminate that. We're always, in fact, one of the things you will see is an improved stats dashboard.
What's the timeline for that?
If I don't hack in live.
Yes, of course.
I'll tell you that one for sure.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap up here, Dave. It's been a pleasure. This has been my first opportunity to interact with you. I'm sure it won't be my last. I've greatly enjoyed having you on the show. If anyone wants to learn more about you or Clickfunnels, what is a easy way for them to do that?
Obviously, the easiest thing is just go to Clickfunnels.com. You can always hit me up on Facebook Messenger, PM me type of stuff.
Okay. And if you haven't already seen the video that they have on the homepage of Clickfunnels.com, you are sorely missing out. It is one of the best videos that I've seen. Actually, yeah, before we wrap, that video, did it produce numbers that were as compelling as just the entertainment value of the video? For those of you guys who are listening, we worked with the Harmon brothers who did Squatty Potty and Poopery and all the other type of viral videos. And for us, we got 6 million views in the first, 35, 45 days or something like that, which was great. The hard part for us was we're at that point right now where just due to we get a lot of traffic to that site, and it's hard to see if the video is converting it or if it's just the name recognition. So we're still trying to find different ways of testing the actual result of the video. If nothing else, it was a ton of fun, and we had a great time doing it. Yep. And we do a lot of stupid things over here just for the sake of being fun. Yep.
And so if nothing else, it was fun that way.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Well, again, Dave, thank you very much for being on the show.
My pleasure.
All right. To get to the show notes for today's episode, go to Brightideas.co/224.
Thanks very much for listening to the Bright Ideas Podcast. Check us out on the web at Brightideas.co.
All right, show's over. I'm tired.